Hey, what's up, gamers? This is Landshark from SharkOnGames. My name is Scott Kincaid, and today we're going to talk about Xbox One versus PlayStation 4. Gotta love the topic. I'm actually going to cover 4 topics today regarding the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Cover some things that are pretty heated in the news right now for the game industry, and we'll see how each one is similar or different and what we know about each one for sure, and we'll speculate a little bit on what we think is going to happen for the other one. Now, Microsoft just released a bunch of information about the Xbox One, and so we know we have some pretty factual information there. Sony has been less eager to give definite details on all the same topics, so we'll talk about that as well as we go through these four main topics. Excuse me. The first topic we're going to talk about, although I'll give you the list real quick, the 4 topics are going to be used game policies, always online connection required. We're going to go to region locking and the price of Xbox Live Gold subscription versus the price of the PSN Plus online subscription. So to start off, let's go with the used game policy. To start off on that topic, we'll start off with Microsoft's used game policy and their stance. And you see this list, their website open here. This is directly from Microsoft, and I'll just read it off to you guys. Says, in our role as a game publisher, Microsoft Studios will enable you to give your games to friends or trade in your Xbox One games at participating retailers. Third-party publishers may opt in or out of supporting game resale and may set up business terms or transfer fees with retailers. Microsoft does not receive any compensation as part of this. In addition, third-party publishers can enable you to give games to friends. Loaning or renting games won't be available at launch, but we're exploring the possibilities with the partners. I think that's all I want to read from that. So what does this mean? It means that third-party publishers are still in the power and control here. They can say whether or not you can or cannot just give a game to a friend, and will they be able to log in and use it, or will there be some kind of authentication there? It's not totally clear because it's definitely third parties are in control of that. So key point to take out of this little paragraph here is that Microsoft does not receive any compensation as part of this, and they're referring to third-party publishers making money or retaining fees when you go to sell a used game, like to GameStop, for instance. Does part of that fee, when GameStop resells the game, does part of that fee go to third-party publishers? That's up to the publisher to decide. It also says Microsoft doesn't receive any of that money unless if it's for the third-party publishers. Of course, Microsoft is a first-party publisher for themselves, so do they receive some compensation if they have a used game sold at GameStop that's published by them? Possible, I don't know. This doesn't tell us yes or no. And that's about it for this topic. Now, what does Sony say about this? We'll take a look. Activation codes for second-hand PS4 titles. Sony says, and this is coming from Sony's Games Studios chief, Yoshida, says, it's a publisher decision, we're not talking about it, sorry. Which sounds a lot like what Microsoft just said. It's a publisher decision. And they didn't say much beyond that, really. So, while Microsoft has confirmed that there will be a publisher decision, in that case, Sony is saying basically the same thing, that they will have some kind of fee. It's up to the publisher, right? So, another thing that comes from Sony in regards to the used game policy is right here. It says, Sony's game studio chief, Yoshida, told reporters that any requirements for users to register a game online in order to play it will be left to game publishers. Sony won't require that. So basically we're talking about not even just used games, but any game in it at all. If you buy a brand new game, come home, and you play it, is it going to require an online connection to play in the very beginning? This ties into our next topic, which is going to be always online connection required. I'll touch back with this in a moment. They're saying again that it's up to publishers. Sony won't require it, but publishers can. So now we'll get on topic number 2, which is always online connection required? So with the Xbox, is it always required? This here says your Xbox One is always ready. Xbox One is designed to run in a low-powered connected state This means your system, games, and apps are always current and ready to play. No more waiting for updates. Scroll down and we see that while a persistent connection is not required, Xbox One is designed to verify if system, application, or game updates are needed and to see if you have acquired new games or resold, traded in, or given your games to a friend. Games that are designed to take advantage of the cloud may require connection. May require, not necessarily. So this says that we may have some games that do require, some that don't require some kind of authentication. Again, it's going to be up to the publisher. And it says with your Xbox One you can game offline for up to 24 hours on your primary console or 1 hour if you're logged into a separate console accessing your game library. For instance, I have a game, I take my game over to my friend's house, I log in with my account there. I have to make sure I have an internet connection at least once every hour while I'm at their console. And what is Sony's stance on this? Simply says PS4 games will be playable without an internet connection. They're again being kind of vague. PS4 games will be available without an internet connection. But to what extent? I mean, all of Microsoft games can be played offline as well. And it's up to the publishers to choose whether you can or can't, or whether they require or don't require authentication online before you can play the game, even when you first buy it. And then we go back to this quote earlier. Any requirement for users to register a game online in order to play it will be left to the game publishers. So again, this kind of paints a clear picture that while Sony doesn't require it, the publishers might, and Sony's leaving it up to the publishers to decide, which is a lot like what we've heard from Microsoft, is that it's up to the publishers to decide. So that will end that topic. Third, region locking. This one's pretty straightforward. The Xbox One and will require it, and we'll read the quote here. Similar to the movie and music industry, games must meet country-specific regulatory guidelines before they are cleared for sale. A rep confirmed. With this website, we will continue to work with our partners to follow these guidelines with Xbox One. Pretty simple, straightforward, legality reasons, fine. What does Sony say about it now? Again, this is Yoshida from Sony talking about whether or not PS4 will be region locked. Quote, I know the answer, but I don't want to be quoted and get a call from my PR guy saying, what did you say? So it's pretty much a diverted, they don't want to answer that question, and they might be afraid to answer that, I don't know. If there's no region locking, why wouldn't they just say no region locking? If it is region locked, this sounds like something they'd want to defer till later, until we've seen possibly more games or something that hypes up. That's my personal opinion. Anyway, we don't know for sure. This sounds like they're waiting to answer that later. Most likely there will be region locking on the PS4. Top number 4. Price of Xbox Live and the price of PSN Plus. Is it going to go up, stay the same, etc.? Xbox says quite straightforward, and this is a change to their policy, to their family plan anyway. If you have an Xbox Gold membership today for the Xbox 360 and you buy an Xbox One, your membership applies to both systems. That came from Microsoft's Phil Harrison. You don't have to get another subscription, so they're seamless. It's one subscription for both consoles. There's no double subscription or anything. It's pretty cool, and that's expected, of course. And it goes on to say that multiple members of a household will be able to share a single account. Harrison said, explaining anybody who has a usage privilege on that machine can use it. That's very interesting. Now, what does that mean exactly? Does it mean that, let's say my wife and I both want to play an Xbox Live Gold game online? Maybe we have a split screen game online. Can we both go online with that, or we have to buy a separate account, or how does that work? I'm assuming it means that whenever she wants to log into Xbox Live, she can do it when I'm not there, and she can use all the gold features. And when I'm there, I can use all the gold features, and we'll play one single price, which is the current. Hopefully, that price stays the same of the retail of $60. Although I've never paid that much. They removed the family plan away back in February, and I actually am on that family plan, which is 4 Xbox Live Gold accounts for $100 a year, which basically equates to about $2.04 per month per account. Super cheap. If they can cut that down to, $60 a year for as many, up to 10 accounts or whatever the family's max is on your single Xbox, that's an even better deal. which is crazy cheap if you think about it. You're looking at what, $6, not even that much, $5 a month per year, split among how many people want to use the gold account. Pretty cheap. Anyway, sorry about the tangent. But this is interesting. What does Sony say about this on whether or not PSN will remain free for PS4? They say, and I quote, "We totally believe that we want to provide more functionality and more services and more content on the network. And so we are looking at how we are going to structure that, and we are not ready to talk about that." So they didn't say it's not going to remain free, but they said it's not going to cost anything. I would assume that based on Sony's financial situation, that they will probably still provide a free version and a paid version, but I imagine a majority of the useful and needed features for online play will be shifted from the free version over to the PSN Plus paid version, and we'll see a business plan that more closely follows the Xbox Live version of the Gold, where they'll have a paid subscription that you will want to pay for because you'll get XYZ features, including online play. Again, Sony didn't say they're going to keep online play free. Why did they not say that right off the bat? That would be, I don't know why they didn't say off the bat. And this is a definite PR wording here, that they are most likely looking at ways to encourage people to pay for an online feature. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully at E3, maybe after E3 coming up. And just to summarize here, the big point, of course, being the used games policy. And for me personally, that's also the biggest point, because I do buy used games. I buy a lot of new games too. I have over 70. I have an Xbox 360. I have a Nintendo Wii. I have a PSP, PS2 as well. I have not bought a PS3. I have over 70 games on the Xbox 360. I'd say about half of those were bought used. The other half were bought brand new retail box, or possibly like a mix of our Xbox Live Arcade as well. Of course, it's full price. Used games is huge to me. Having the ability to buy used games is big time. And selling used games is not a huge deal for me because I usually keep all my games. So personally, I don't have a problem with not being, if there's restrictions on selling used games, so be it. Not a big deal for me. Again, Sony said that Sony will not require it, but the publishers, it's up to the publishers. The key word there is that Sony won't require that, but does it mean the publishers will require that? That's the question. Most likely, yes. If they're going to require it on the Xbox One, they're going to require it on the PSN or PS4 as well. There's no reason not to. They want to make as much money as they want, or as much money as they can. So I think that on E3 we're going to see a lot of game information. I highly doubt that Sony will give away much of the details regarding used games and always online connection, stuff like that, or authentication, because there are going to be a lot of TV cameras on Sony's presentation, and I don't believe that bad information, like negative information, or information that could be seen as negative, would be a good marketing idea when all eyes are on them on stage. Most likely they'll slowly release details on that after E3, probably in interviews to places like GameStop, IGN, etc. That's my theory. So all in all, there's a lot of hate going on at Microsoft right now because of what they released about the 24-hour connection and the used game policy, although we don't know what Sony's stance is on this yet, and all signs point to Sony using extremely similar or exact same policies on those same topics. So we will find out for sure in a couple days. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right because I'm a confident man and I pay attention to the game industry and I try to read between the lines. Another thing to think about is that Microsoft is being made as a bit of a scapegoat right now. They're the first ones to detail their used game policy and always online connection, etc. I highly doubt that it was Microsoft's main decision to actually push this stuff for next gen. I believe that it's probably the large publishers pushing on Microsoft and Sony as well, saying, hey, do this or else, because they're the ones that really make the most money and it makes the most sense for them to push this kind of agenda. Microsoft wants to sell consoles, Sony wants to sell consoles, and they want to sell a lot of consoles, so they wouldn't openly restrict their users unless they had a really good reason to. And I believe this is because the main publishers, the big publishers in the game industry, are putting some pressure on the console makers to do this. Another thing to point out is that several game publishers have openly said they are not going to be developing for the Nintendo Wii U, and including EA, which is one of the largest ones, largest publishers. Nintendo Wii U does not have the same online requirement or used game policies that we can expect from the next gen of Sony and Microsoft, which is again a hint that the publishers are shying away from the old used game, how we used to handle used games in the past, and are moving towards this next generation of kind of how the PC does it, right? When PC games are out now, you download it and you play it, and then you have no way to sell it because it's activated online, or you have a key that is activated. So it looks like the game industry is kind of unifying itself in that sense, where not only PC games have this restriction of used game sales, but now we also have console games having the restriction of used game sales. The addition of the 24-hour online check might be something that is required by Microsoft, but I think it'll be strongly required by games on Sony's side as well. So we'll see how that pans out. I guess I'm sure I've got more to talk about. This video is getting pretty long, so I'm going to stop here in a moment. But I'm excited to see E3. I want to see the games. I really want to see the games. I'm excited to see what Sony talks about on stage and what they don't talk about on stage. And the same with Microsoft. What they do and don't talk about on stage, I think, is really going to be key here. And also, following E3, what information is going to trickle out of either company after E3. And also, what news sites are going to pick up on articles from both sides. Are we going to see more hate towards Microsoft? Probably, because people love to hate Microsoft anyway. We're going to see a lot of front page news about Sony and their used game policies and whatnot next week. I'm highly positive on that. I believe we will. Please check back here if you want to comment. All the links I've got in this video are going to be at the bottom, underneath the video, in the comments or in the description. Definitely comment when you review this, and comment again after you see E3, or again next week when you start reading the game news. I want to see how close I am to predicting what is going to happen compared to what I predicted. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys again for watching. This is SharkOnGames. Check out my website, SharkOnGames.com. I do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SharkOnGames, and of course here on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/SharkOnGames. Thank you for watching, and I hope you hang around to watch more videos. I have plenty of other stuff to watch. See ya.